The atmosphere in Montreal it's one of the best tracks for atmosphere, or the city anyway.
Lights out and red cars explode off the grid. While rivals struggle and stall, Ferrari is already gone. But somewhere inside that red car, a 7-time world champion is still searching, still adapting, still fighting a machine that hasn't fully accepted him yet. What happens when the greatest driver of his generation joins the most political team in Formula One right in the middle of a war nobody expected? And could Montreal, the city that has gifted Lewis Hamilton some of his finest moments, finally be where everything clicks?
Canada, one of his best tracks historically.
Because Fred Vasseur is furious. The FIA is circling Ferrari's innovations. The engine deficit is real. And Hamilton is cutting simulator time ahead of the most important race of his Ferrari career.
Simulator use ahead of the Montreal race. This is apparently amid concerns over...
This isn't just a Grand Prix weekend. This is a survival test. To understand Ferrari's fury, you have to go back before the season started.
Lewis, but you're right, the last couple of races haven't been easy for him, and sometimes you can get a little bit lost with a simulator, the wrong direction with setups.
The 2026 regulations remove the MGUH, the system controlling turbo response. Every team felt the pain. Most looked away. Ferrari didn't. They spent months in technical committees, raised concerns with the FIA, and waited for guidance. The answer came back cold and clear. Design your car around the regulations. Don't expect the regulations to adapt to your car. Vasseur respected that. Ferrari committed fully, built a smaller turbo, sacrificed peak power, accepted the trade-off. His words told the whole story. The dilemma was, do we want to gain 1/10 of a second per lap or lose 5 positions at the start? Ferrari chose the starts, and it worked brilliantly. But once rivals noticed, they didn't redesign their cars. They went straight to the FIA. Safety became the political weapon. The rules shifted overnight. Ferrari's carefully engineered advantage, built on months of sacrifice, was cut down before the season truly unfolded. Vasseur's verdict was sharp. Politically, it was well played, but not very fair. But that was just the start. Because inside Ferrari's cockpit, a separate and deeply personal battle was on.
We lift each other up through the difficult times.
Ready brewing. The move to Ferrari was supposed to be Hamilton's crowning chapter. 7 titles. A legacy already written permanently into Formula One history. A new team, a new challenge, one final mountain to climb. But 2025 was brutal. A foreign culture, a different engineering language, a car that felt nothing like the Mercedes he'd mastered for over a decade. Jenson Button, speaking ahead of Montreal, captured it honestly, coming from a team that he's been with for a very long time, won multiple world championships with, and jumping into a team that's not just different, but it's Italian. Yet 2026 brought visible change. Button noticed immediately from the word go. He seems a lot more confident in himself, a lot more confident in the people he's working with. Then came the twist. Hamilton admitted he was considering cutting simulator time before Montreal. Not laziness, concern. The simulator wasn't correlating with real-world performance. Engineers pointing one direction, the track telling him something completely different. Button was direct. Sometimes you can get a little bit lost with a simulator, going down the wrong direction with setup. In Formula One, wrong setup direction doesn't cost you 1/10. It costs you the entire weekend. Here is the truth connecting everything. Ferrari carries a 25 to 30 horsepower deficit against Mercedes. Their Halo wing, introduced in China, flagged as borderline by the FIA, already redesigned once under political pressure. Their blown exhaust, the system holding the entire aerodynamic philosophy together, now under serious regulatory threat. Lose the blown exhaust. Reports suggest Ferrari drops nearly half a second per lap. Half a second in a sport decided by hundredths. And Hamilton is being asked to find his peak form on a car whose simulator misleads, whose engine trails, and whose best innovations may soon disappear. But here's the detail that reframes everything. Montreal, low grip surface, long straights, violent chicanes demanding physical aggression and fearless commitment, walls punishing hesitation and rewarding drivers who attack. Button explained precisely why Lewis belongs here. He can be aggressive with the car and throwing it about. And then Button delivered the line that mattered most. I think Lewis will turn up with a lot of confidence in Montreal. We want to see Ferrari at the front. We want to see Lewis fighting for wins. that sentence carries real weight, because Montreal doesn't ask for mechanical perfection. It asks for instinct, bravery, and experience. 3 things Hamilton has ever lost. So what does this all mean for Hamilton, Ferrari, and the championship? For Lewis personally, Canada is where his instincts historically override everything else. Where the walls close in and most drivers retreat, Hamilton has always accelerated. If Ferrari gives him even a semi-competitive package, this is the circuit where he reminds the paddock exactly who he is. But if simulator confusion bleeds into Friday practice, if the setup direction is wrong from the beginning, Hamilton fights the car instead of his rivals. And Ferrari cannot afford that right now. For Ferrari as a team, the 80 engine concession could transform the second half of 2026 entirely. Closing 25 horsepower combined with aerodynamic upgrades planned for Barcelona creates a genuinely dangerous package. But if the FIA removes the blown exhaust while delaying the engine approval simultaneously, Ferrari enters a brutal window slower on power and stripped of aerodynamic compensation at the same time. Vasseur captured the injustice with controlled fury. We developed an engine with a criteria, and somehow they changed the rule at the last minute. That feeling doesn't fade. It hardens into something far more dangerous. Scenario 1. Hamilton cuts the simulator noise, trusts his instincts, and Ferrari's engine concession delivers in Montreal. Lewis fights at the front. Leclerc pushes for pole. The paddock suddenly remembers what a confident Hamilton in a competitive Ferrari actually looks like, and it terrifies them. Scenario 2. FIA removes key Ferrari innovations before Barcelona. Engine concession arrives too late. Hamilton battles a car losing its identity mid-season. Montreal becomes a damage limitation weekend, and questions about whether the SF26 was ever truly a championship contender grow impossible to silence. Scenario 3. Ferrari fights back harder than anyone predicted, not just on track, but in every technical meeting and political room in the paddock. Because Vasseur's public comments weren't frustration. They were the opening move of something colder and far more calculated than a press conference complaint. When Ferrari gets angry and organized simultaneously, the rest of Formula One has historically learned to worry. Can Lewis Hamilton find the version of himself that has conquered Montreal before inside a car, still searching for its own identity? Can Ferrari survive being politically punished for solving a problem that rivals simply chose to ignore? And if the rules can shift mid-season because enough teams complained loudly enough, what does that tell every engineer in Formula One about the real cost of thinking differently? Montreal won't just decide a race result this weekend. It might decide whether Ferrari's 2026 story is a comeback or the beginning of something much darker. So tell me, is Lewis Hamilton about to remind Formula One exactly why they feared him? Or has Ferrari's political war already cost them more than any stopwatch can measure?